One of the fundamental principles of this country is that the people should have access to our system of democracy. However, the voter registration process is often a barrier to that participation. SB 641 deletes the arbitrary timelines which prevent eligible citizens from voting in elections. The bill will allow eligible citizens to register and vote up to and including Election Day. This would be permitted only at the county elections office, not at the polling places. California is ranked 41 out of 50 states in voter turnout, and in 2006, only 76% of the voting age population was actually registered. Research has shown that Election Day registration can considerably boost voter turnout. Not included in the analysis due to the late cost-reducing amendments coming out of appropriations, there are more than 20 voter advocate groups in support of this measure, and a floor alert was dispersed to your offices earlier today. The list includes the California Common Cause, California Nurses, and the League of Conservation Voters. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on this important
debate or
measure.
discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Forgive me, Senator LaMalfa.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this bill. This once again boils down to the issue of self-responsibility. As it is now, I believe it's approximately 15 days you have before the election you have to be registered by. No less than 15 days. That doesn't seem too tough, especially with the blitz of media, of mail, of TV, of radio, election signs, everything you see out there that, hey, there's an election coming. That if people are motivated to vote in the election, they could get out there and register with so many ways to, there are people that are looking to register you at voting booths, at elections booths, places that people want to help get you registered. So to do it on the day of the election is just another sign of irresponsibility by people that probably aren't even motivated enough to vote except for a last-second whim. They certainly probably haven't studied the issues. And then the impact this has on the elections offices, the elections clerks, who, if you have 10, 20% registering on the day of the election, they're already, with the other mandates, the other concerns they have, barely getting, in some counties, the election certified in that 1 month period following the election. This is just an extra burden on that. I know candidates are certainly interested in knowing what the results are as soon as possible. A lot of things riding on that. And so we're just adding more and more to the burden of the elections clerks, of the waiting period to know the results of elections, the cost of the elections, and sending a signal to the people of the state, go ahead, be irresponsible, do it the last minute. I mean, we have other ways that we have big penalties for not acting properly when we have to do our taxes or even not getting your credit card payment in time. So why was something as important, as sacred as the vote, are we allowing this level of sloppiness by having the same day election registration? So I have to ask for your no vote on this one.
Further debate or discussion? Senator Huff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, while we're used to voting on things on the same day, let's not facilitate that or encourage that with the electorate. I urge a no vote.
Is there additional debate or discussion? Members? If not, Senator Calderon, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to add that in terms of the cost involved in having registration the day of the election, the clerks have not opposed this bill. And I would imagine they would come to oppose if they looked at it as more work and more costly. With that, I ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. No. Blakeslee. No. Calderon. Aye. Cannella. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. No. Emerson. No. Evans. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Aye. Herman. No. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. No. Kehoe. I. LaMalfa. No. Leno. I. Ted Lieu. I. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. Pavley. I. Price. I. Rubio. Runner. Smidian. I. Steinberg. Strickland. No. Vargas. I. Walters. No. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee. I. Cannella. I. To no.
Call the absent members.
Evans. Padilla. Rubio. Runner. Steinberg.
Ayes 21, noes 14. The bill is passed. File item 116. Senator Steinberg. Senator Steinberg, just for the edification of the body, does the bill have anything to do with high-speed rail? Apparently it does not. File item 117, Senator Hernandez, passed. File item 118, Senator Price.
Never ask.
Senator Price. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 706 by Senator Price, enacting to business and professions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bill members, this bill enhances the Department of Real Estate and Office of Real Estate Appraisers enforcement programs. The bill reflects a number of recommendations made in the Business, Professions, and Economic Development Committee's oversight hearing earlier this year. 706 gives both the Department of Real Estate and the Office of Real Estate Appraisers a set of tools to enhance their enforcement operations, including establishes that protection of the public right shall be their highest priority, requires automatic license suspension when a licensee is incarcerated after conviction of a felony, provides for cost recovery of the agency's cost in disciplinary cases and probation monitoring, authorizes each agency to enter into a settlement agreement with a licensee or applicant instead without having first to issue a formal accusation or statement of issues, and requires a licensee to report any indictment or felony charge, arrest or conviction, and in any disciplinary action by another licensing agency. The bill has been substantially amended to address due process concerns raised by the California Association of Realtors and to remove the consolidation of the two programs, which was objected to by the Appraisal Institute. The bill remains a work in progress as it moves forward. Discussions will continue in order to work out other issues that, as they arise, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. Blakesley. No. Calderon. Aye. Cannella. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. No. Emerson. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. No. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Runner. Smidian.
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. No. Vargas. Aye. Walters. No. Wolk. Wright. Aye. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Call the absent members.
Negrete McLeod. Aye. Berryhill. Correa. Aye. Emerson. No. Padilla, Rubio, Runner, Wolk.
Ayes 22, noes 12. The bill is passed. File item 119, not eligible. File item 120, Senator Hernandez. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 728 by Senator Hernandez, enacting to health care coverage.
fix it. Sorry.
Mr. President, members, SB 728 implements a provision of federal health reform that requires states to do risk adjustment across all health insurance products in the individual and small group market. Risk adjustment is an important mechanism that ensures Medicare and Medicaid to all to use to foster productive competition, discourage plans and insurers from cherry-picking the healthy, and forces plans and insurers to compete based on providing better care. Risk adjustment is very important to ensure that California's health benefit exchange functions effectively. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. Blakesley. No. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. No. Emerson. No. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Runner. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. No. Vargas. Aye. Walters. No. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill. Canella. Correa. Aye. LaMalfa. No. Padilla. Rubio. Runner.
Ayes 23, noes 12. The bill is passed. File item 121, Senator Hancock. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 740 by Senator Hancock, and act relating to pupil assessment.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 740 will align California's elementary and high school STAR testing program with the requirements of the federal No Child Left Behind Act. This is at a time when the state is moving toward a new assessment program based on the recently approved Common Core standards. Those standards and assessments, which will be nationwide, are being developed by two multi-state consortia. The tests that they're working on will cover grades 3 to 12. Second grade testing is not part of the accountability system for either consortia. After discussion in the Policy Committee and Appropriations Committee, the bill has been amended to require the State Superintendent of Public Instruction to identify 3 developmentally appropriate diagnostic tests that conform to California standards, current California standards, and federal CELT standards. Schools may use those to target teaching to the instructional needs of students throughout the year and advise third grade teachers. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Huff.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to this. One of the reasons we have STAR testing is try to get an assessment on kids that are having problems. And if you skip the second grade test, then you're going to get the results in fourth grade. By then, students that are having a reading problem are going to be in serious trouble because they often get stumped at that level and stay there if they don't get remediation prior to that. You know, it's said that this would save $2 million by not doing the testing. Well, let me posit this then. Why don't we just stop all testing? Obviously, we wouldn't do that. Well, probably some would like that. But testing serves a purpose. I would urge a no vote on this.
Senator Kehoe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to ask for your aye vote on this bill, Senator Hancock has the right idea about the second grade testing. It is an intense and time-consuming test where the teacher reads to each student. It's early in the child's development. The $2 million savings is about setting priorities. is this the best use of that $2 million? Or could that $2 million and the time it takes to test a second grader at this level be better used to do an assessment that will inform her or his third grade teacher about where the child's strengths and weaknesses might be? So I think Senator Hancock's at the right idea. The $2 million could be moved to other education priorities that will better serve that child and all the children moving on into the third grade. So I support the bill. Ask for your aye vote.
Senator Lowenthal.
I too rise to support SB 740. As we move towards the Common Core standards, what we have accepted in California is a not only national standards in terms of English language learning and mathematics, but we've also will apply and follow these national assessment. Second grade assessment is not part of the national assessment. We will be one of the few states that continues to have a second grade. There are lots of problems. I think that we, with the help of the superintendent of public instruction, can develop better kinds of assessment of second graders than putting them through an assessment that really does not provide us with valid or reliable results. I urge an aye vote.
Senator Fuller.
I'm sorry at this late time to be having to take up time on this, but as you know, I do not usually belabor my experiences as a school superintendent, but this is one I must belabor. I am not in favor of doing away with the second grade testing. It takes a smaller amount of time to complete than the normal field trip at the end of the year. Parents deserve to know early if their child compares with other students in their class or other students across the nation. And it's the only way that we in this society rate children now. By doing away with this, the third grade teachers get students that may be unprepared for the first time for the tests. And so those students are very late, are finding out very late that they may not be doing as well in reading or math or other issues. And it is a disservice to that child. I'm in favor of either doing away with all testing or keeping testing. Now, hopefully we will find a better mechanism in the next round because this is not a perfect instrument. I am not arguing necessarily that the instrument is perfect. I am arguing that in this system, in the world, that to take away these tests at this time is a disservice to parents and students, and only a small inconvenience to some teachers who do not want to give the test at this time. My last system, I had 30,000 students. I had very, very few complaints, and it was an 85% free and reduced district. So please, we may need the money, but I don't think this is the right thing to do.
Further debate or discussion? Senator Weiland.
I didn't know that the national core standards wouldn't include this assessment. They ought to. We ought to include assessment at first grade. Anyone who teaches reading will tell you, anyone, that the sooner you catch a problem, the better. Now, I understand the author's point that STAR testing may not be a particularly best way to do it. Then let's come up with our own. And particularly in a state where we have so many English language learners, and I know many people in this body care about that, and I care about that. These kids, many of them are dropping out because they never learned to read. And anyone, any teacher who teaches a lot of reading will tell you, the earlier you catch them, the better. Look who they're competing with. They're competing with our kids. What do we do with our kids? We read to them. We read to them. We read to them. They're so precocious by the time they get to school, most of them just take off. But we've got literally hundreds of thousands of kids who don't have that benefit. And I think not only, as Senator Fuller said, is it a disservice to parents, but in particular to those kids who don't have all those advantages. So I understand that perhaps the STAR test isn't the best. I understand the author's point that it's very difficult to make many of these assessments, but then let's come up with our own, because we need this information.
Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Hancock, you may close.
Thank you very much. You know, only 5 states out of the 50 states in this country require second grade testing. The federal government does not require second grade testing, and there's a reason for that. Most major testing assessment groups have concluded that standardized tests for children under 8 are unreliable and developmentally inappropriate. These include the Center for Assessment and Evaluation of Student Learning, Early Childhood Assessment Resource Group, and the National Association for the Education of Young Children, which has said that there should not really, they don't believe, be testing until the 4th grade, but under no circumstances sooner than the 3rd grade. This bill will allow diagnostic testing to be used. There are excellent diagnostic tests available. They've been developed. They meet the California standards. They're delivered more informally by teachers during the course of the year and are used to inform learning by identifying student weaknesses early, strengths and weaknesses. These tests that are given the last 2 weeks of the school year, in which teachers tell us they spend a week showing the children how to fill in the bubbles, because at that age, kinetically, just even sitting and filling in bubbles is a challenge, they're not developmentally appropriate, and the results aren't known until they're delivered to the 3rd grade teacher the next year. You want to have, honestly, saving time that you're doing in test preparation, having the 2nd grade teacher who's been working with the children all year write a little assessment to the 3rd grade teacher talking about what that student needs. So I would ask for your aye vote. This is in keeping with best educational theory and practice, and it will also, as Senator Kehoe indicated, allow us to perhaps have some music, art, or physical education in our schools. I ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. Blakesley. No. Calderon. Aye. Cannella. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. No. Emerson. No. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. No. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carolou. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Runner. Smidian. Steinberg. Strickland. No. Vargas. Aye. Walters. No. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill. Correa. Correa, aye. De Leon. Aye. Padilla. Rubio. Runner. Smidian. Steinberg.
Ayes 21, noes 13. The bill is passed. Members, file item 122, Senator Padilla not at his desk. File item 123, Senator Corbett. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 823 by Senator Corbett, an act relating to California products.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, Senate Bill 823 will create a Made in California label. This bill is modeled after the California Grown program, which has been so very successful in the promotion of our California produce and agricultural products. In fact, the sales of California-grown produce increased by 7%, which generated close to $1 billion for California businesses, workers, and our economy. More specifically, SB 823.
Members, we're in the home stretch. If we could ask for your attention, please.
This bill would allow for a marketing agreement between the state and those companies seeking to use a Made in California label, and it is self-supporting and voluntary. Members, I know you all agree we should be doing everything we can to promote items manufactured in California. We have a lot to be proud of and a lot to brag about. The bill is co-sponsored by the California Small Business Association and Small Business California. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Members, is there any objection to substituting our unanimous roll call? There is. Please call the roll.
Alquist? Aye. Anderson? No. Berryhill? Blakesley? No. Calderon? Aye. Canella? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? De Leon? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? Evans? Aye. Fuller? Gaines? No. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hernandez? Aye. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. LaMalfa? No. Leno? Aye. Ted Lieu? Aye. Carol Lieu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Padilla? Pavley? Price? Aye. Rubio? Runner? Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Vargas? Aye. Walters? Walters, no. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Weiland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Fuller, no.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill? Correa? Aye. Emerson? No. Padilla? Pavley? Aye. Rubio? Runner? Steinberg?
Ayes 22, noes 13. The bill is passed. File item 124, Senator DeSaulnier, passed. File item 125, Senator Padilla, not at his desk. File item 126, Senator Corbett. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 861 by Senator Corbett, enacting to public contracts.
Thank you very much. I was thrown off by the reference to the bill. I think it does something beyond what was just mentioned. This bill is a bill that is no longer has any opposition. Senate Bill 861 works off the framework of the bipartisan supported federal Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act signed in July 2010. Under the act, publicly traded companies must fulfill certain reporting requirements regarding their use of minerals extracted in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Only companies who have been found to be in violation of the act would be prohibited from contracting with the state of California. This bill is created to incentivize responsible corporate behavior in the light of the tragedy that has been unfolding for many years in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
One moment, Senator. Members, please.
This measure is directed at lowering the demand for these minerals through market and public pressure. Tragically, over 5 million people have died, and hundreds of thousands of women have been sexually assaulted by rebel militias largely financed by the sale of these minerals. The issue of violence against women has gained worldwide attention as women and human rights activists from around the world have rallied to help with this crisis. As I mentioned, this bill no longer has any opposition, and I'm very proud to have the support and a co-authorship of Senator Joel Anderson on this measure. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Huff.
Just like to clarify, we have received no letters removing opposition, so absent anything, we have no way to evaluate that. We had at least 9 or 10 organizations against, including the California Chamber of Commerce.
Further debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Corbett may close.
The California Chamber of Commerce has submitted a letter of opposition, removing their opposition. We've had that letter for quite a while. I believe my staff provided it, and we can bring it to you. I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully you can trust my word. I wouldn't get up on the floor and state that if it was not true. So I hope you can take me.
Senator Corbett,
my word.
Senator Corbett, would you like to take a vote on the bill, place the measure briefly on call.
Yes.
And then while the measure is on call, you
We'll
might
get the
be
letter.
able to obtain a copy of the letter while we take up some final business here in the House. We would then leave your item on call during that brief 10 or 15-minute interim before we adjourn at 8 o'clock.
I think that could work for all parties. Thank you for the
Now,
suggestion.
Senator Corbett, one moment, please. Senator Anderson, Senator Corbett has the floor. For what purpose do you rise?
There seems to be some confusion as to whether I'm supporting this bill or not. I am supporting it. I just wanted to add some clarity.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Blakesley. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Gaines. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Leno. Aye. Tedlew. Aye. Carolou. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Runner. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. No. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Ayes 26, noes 1. Senator Corbett moves a call. Thank you, Senator Corbett. Please let us know when you'd like to lift the call. Members, we're going to wrap up our work on the third reading file at this time. I'm going to ask Senator Huff. Senator Huff, do I have my information correct that you have an item under unfinished business you'd like to take up at this time?
Yes, I do. Item number, whatever it is. Looking for it. Is that, yeah, no. Sorry.
Might that be item number 11, SCR
Yes,
number
that
42?
would. Yeah, this simply
One moment, Senator. If we
Yes.
could ask the Secretary to please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 42 by Senator Huff relative to the 50th anniversary of the California Prayer Breakfast.
This comes back to us just incorporating co-authors from the Assembly. Ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Members, is there any objection to substituting our unanimous roll call on this item? If not, and seeing and hearing none, ayes 36, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator Evans. Senator Evans, you have an item on call. Would you like to lift the call at this time? And that is file item
17, I believe? Yes, 17, SB 444.
File item 17, SB 444. Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Correa. De Leon. Emerson. Huff. Tedlew. Carolou. Rubio. Runner. Vargas. Yee. Yee, aye.
Move for reconsideration.
One moment, please, Senator. Ayes 16, noes 15. The measure fails. Senator Evans requests reconsideration. Without objection, reconsideration is granted. Ayes 36, noes 0. Reconsideration is granted. Thank you, Senator. Senator Huff, for what purpose do you rise? Forgive me, Senator Dutton. The hour is late. Senator Dutton?
I have an adjournment in memory.
Under motions and resolutions, please proceed, Senator Dutton.
Mr. President and members, I'm saddened to report the death earlier today of Matt Fong, who succumbed to cancer at the young age of 57. Matt was a fellow Republican who served California as a member of the State Board of Equalization and as a state treasurer. He was also a leader and role model for the Asian American Pacific Islander community, following in the footsteps of his mother, former Secretary of State March Fong Yu. Our deepest condolences are with her, as they are with Matt's wife, Paula, and their two children, Matthew II and Jade. Matt had a distinguished career of public service in California and always strived to keep the taxpayers' interest foremost. He was a proud graduate of the United States Air Force Academy and served our nation proudly as a member of the armed forces. More importantly, however, he was a good person, devoted husband, and loving father. He was not the sort to grandstand, step on others to obtain his goals. Matt was a common sense, soft-spoken, and had a low-key kind of sense of humor. When running for the U.S. Senate against a far more colorful and outspoken Barbara Boxer, he simply told the New York Times, "As long as my wife thinks I have charisma, I'm okay." Matt battled cancer twice, but it finally claimed him. He will be remembered as a well-liked, well-respected leader who contributed with honor to our state. I'd like to adjourn today in memory of Matt Fong, who lived in faith, fought the good fight, and has now finished the race.
Senator Dutton, thank you for those remarks. Please convey the sympathies of the Senate to family and friends of the deceased, as well as our thanks for years of public service. Senator Cannella, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Adjourn in memory.
Under motions and resolutions, please proceed.
I rise to adjourn in memory of Robin Ann Boyd, who died last week in a car crash in Turlock. Robin was the wife of Turlock Irrigation District Assistant General Manager Steve Boyd, with whom I've had the opportunity to work with in the past. Robin was a devoted mother of 3 children who were truly her passion. She was an active member of the PTA and was involved in many of her kids' school activities. A few years ago, she even started a walking club at Julian Elementary School and came to know each of the students by name. Robin was born and raised in Turlock. She earned her bachelor's degree from CSU Stanislaus and taught for 5 years. Robin is survived by her husband, Steve, and 3 children, Spencer, Meredith, and Amelia. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Boyd family.
Thank you, Senator Cannella. Once again, please convey the sympathies of the Senate to friends and family, as well as a thanks for public service. Senator Yee, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
Adjourn in memory.
Please proceed, Senator Yee.
Let me add my voice to Senator Dutton in honor of Matt Fong. I just spoke to his chief a couple of days ago and had learned accidentally about Matt's illness. And it is a tremendous loss for the state of California, but also particularly in the Asian American community. Matt followed his mother, March Fong, in statewide office. And he was one of the early pioneers for Chinese Americans who had the audacity to run statewide and think that he could win. And Matt was one of those individuals that did not look at barriers as impediments, but rather challenges to overcome. And overcome he did do. And he did rather well within the Republican Party. And as many of my Republican friends know, there are a lot of Chinese who are part of the Republican Party. And so when Matt Fong came to town in San Francisco, it didn't matter if you were Republican or Democrat, you rally around him because he was a role model for all of us. He was one of those individuals, as I said earlier, who broke so many barriers and gave many of us that thought, that idea that one day other Chinese Americans can also break those barriers. And so it is with tremendous loss for all of us, particularly in the Chinese American community, that Matt Fong passed away. There were many individuals in the Chinese community who thought that maybe one day we would, in fact, get a U.S. Senator from the mainland here. And Matt Fong was one of those possibilities. Matt Fong was one of those stars. Unfortunately, he did not make it happen. But what it also left was, again, the thought that a person from the mainland here in the United States, from a Chinese-American family, could be a U.S. Senator. And he brought a lot of hope and a lot of dreams and aspiration to all of us, both Democrats and Republicans, and I want to add my voice of condolence to his family.
Thank you, Senator Yee. Senator Wright, for what purpose do you rise, sir, under motions and resolutions?
Adjourn in memory. Members, I had a tragedy in my district. Officer Andrew Garton is a motor officer for the Hawthorne Police Department, and he was involved in a collision with Senator Rex Fowler, who was in the El Segundo Police Department. He too was a sergeant and a motor officer, and they were both doing escort duty for the funeral of another police officer from Manhattan Beach. Officer Garton lost his life. Officer Fowler suffered injury, but he is in stable condition in a hospital in the Los Angeles area. And I would ask that we would remember Sergeant Andrew Garton from the Hawthorne Police Department, who gave his life in service to the city of Hawthorne in Southern California.
Senator Wright, thank you for those words of condolence. Please convey the condolences of the Senate as well as appreciation for the years of public service. Senator Wright, if we could ask that you be sure to bring that name forward to the desk so that the passing may be properly memorialized. Members, unless there are any other items, on condition of the file, Senator Blakesley, please proceed.
Thank you, members. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the condition of the file today. We had a great session here, great floor session today. We worked through more than 2/3 of 151 bills that were in the third reading. I think we had a lively discussion, some pointed, some humorous, but we did our job. But I wanted to point out something that I think is worth noting on the file. Of the 151 bills on the file, there were a total of 6 Republican bills. There was one member of the majority party that alone had 12. One member of the majority party had more than twice as many bills as the entirety of the Republican Senate caucus on the floor today. Now, why do I say this? Am I unhappy? No. Am I complaining? Not at all. I bring this up for a reason, because we're going to be entering into a conversation next week, I suspect, about the possibility of a special election. And in some of those discussions that have occurred, some in leadership on the majority have urged us not to work too hard or reach too far to try and fix the big problems in the state of California. We simply don't have time. We can solve them legislatively next year. Well, of course, there is the possibility, I suppose, that once the crisis has passed, some of the really difficult and challenging reforms will occur. But I only bring up this important statistic that although we are almost 40% of the body, only 4% of our bills were allowed to come to the floor, is a reason that we feel that as we engage in this negotiation on a special election, it's only right that if we feel strongly that if the fixes that are necessary to rectify the problems California faces should be implemented, that they be part of this negotiation rather than the minority parties simply trusting that next year we'll have more than 4% of the bills on the floor. So again, I share that only to help moderate what I think may be some of the strong feelings next week as we enter into these difficult conversations and point out the facts as they existed on the floor today. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Blakesley. Members, are there any other items? Any other items under motions and resolutions or condition of the file? If there is no other business, Senator Steinberg. One moment, please. We do have a bill on call. Forgive me. Senator Corbett, may we lift the call on your bill at this time?
Yes, Mr. President, and I did want to say that the letter showing the removal of the opposition by the Chamber of Commerce has been distributed to this side of the aisle, so hopefully that will help the vote count.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Senator Corbett asked that we lift the call on file item 126. Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Berryhill? No. Cannella? Correa? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Fuller? Gaines? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Huff? Aye. LaMalfa? Aye. Padilla? Rubio? Runner? Cannella? Aye. Emerson? Aye.
Call the absent members.
Dutton? Fuller? Padilla? Rubio? Runner?
Ayes 33, noes 2. The bill is passed. Members, any other items? If not, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, just to give you an update, we completed 99 bills today. Somebody should have done one additional bill. But it's 99 bills, and the good news is tomorrow we have 55 remaining, plus the consent calendar. We want to thank the desk, as always, and give them a chance to process today's work and get home and get some rest. So we'll begin at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if we go at the same pace, there's no reason why we can't be done by the mid-afternoon tomorrow. All right? Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Members, the Senate will be in recess until 8:15, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene tomorrow, Thursday, at 10 a.m. Members, we stand in recess.